Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Last Call. Roadhouse Last Call, the morning show that tells you about the market, what happened overnight, what happened the previous day, and what may or may not happen on the day and journey we are about to begin. This morning I am joined by Linda.
That's what you think. Oh, yeah,
My,
I guess I'm here.
you're here. Present? Are you present or just here?
Accounted for. I don't know what the
So,
difference is.
well, yesterday when we ended the day, we were close to getting into your feelings.
No, we
You
weren't. No.
no, no, okay, not today either. Okay, all right, fine. Trying again tomorrow, maybe later on today. How was your evening, Bender?
It was good. It was good.
It's good, nice. Family good,
I
everything
think we
good.
might actually get
Everybody
some
healthy.
rain today, so that's good. I woke up this morning about 5:30 and went and sat on the patio, and there was some lightning and some clouds in the sky, and they're saying it might actually rain today.
So, would you say that you're only happy when it rains?
Only if you sing it to me, then I'll say it. At least at this point in time, we're happy when it rains because it's just been so dry.
Yeah, I know. My parents were contemplating doing a rain dance um, a couple of days ago. They saw clouds off in the distance and rain coming down, and they were like, "Just here, please come here,
Right?
please come here." Kind of wild.
Absolutely.
Definitely, definitely kind of wild. All right. Well, today's a new day, Bender.
Indeed.
It is a new day. Um, which means we have different challenges and opportunities to kind of act upon, which is cool. Um, News wise, look, it's like we had this pop overnight. I don't know if there was anything off the pop, but we appear to be coming in as we get closer and closer to open, giving back here a little bit more and more. Some of the headlines are fairly interesting. There's more warnings from central bankers as far as yeah, no, we're going forward as far as rates. The tone continues to be fairly hawkish, and most certainly far from dovish. So nothing has changed within the climate and the environment there. News wise, every other day there's going to be some type of blathering between China and the U.S., which has a pretty big impact. China actually closed red last night, which I thought was interesting based on the big pop that we got on ES and the global markets was the fact that they're moving back to reopening more plants on the heels of that energy crisis and the heat wave. They had to divert resources away and they had to close down several plants. So I found that to be interesting that China still closed red in light of that, and we took the news and went on a straight party. Inflation data coming out of the EU, not exactly what we want to see. While it is coming in flat for the most part, it is not retreating. When you start looking at our friends over there in Europe, and I believe we had them come out and say that they're going to go ahead and are leaning towards another 75 basis points to the upside as far as the euro is concerned. So these are things that we have to keep in mind. We have to understand the environment. It was very pointed and still, remember, my opinion from last week into this week and probably into the next Fed meeting is do not fight the Fed. Do not fight the Fed. Kashari yesterday with a quote basically saying that they were pleased at the market reaction to Powell's speech. Yes, he likes the color red. So if that's going to be the tone, if that's going to be, kind of what they're looking for, we have to be aware of what they're doing and how it can impact us. So with that being said, Bender, tell us about the levels. Tell us about that blitz to the upside and where we kind of paused, and if there's anything important as far as that area.
Yeah. So we're sitting right now. We're 40-48. This area in here, really 40-40 to 40-45 was kind of the 40-46 was kind of the consolidation area early this morning, and late last night. Uh, this was resistance. Once it got through it, It pulled back and used it as support, and it kind of chopped around for a couple hours in that level 4040 to 4046, and once it popped through, that's when it really took off and made the overnight high 4072. I think it was 4072.75. I think was the overnight high. So now we've pulled back and we are right back at that level. This level 4040s was also support yesterday, before ultimately we gave it up and then sold off down to 4030. So
Mhm.
this is definitely an area right here to be on watch to kind of set up what the next move for the day could be. I've got a support level below previous resistance at 4037. So we'll see what it does when it gets there. If it gets there. Below that, I got a fib at 4023. That was also previous support. And then obviously the 4,000 whole number below that. That longer term parallel channel comes in, around 4010. And then if we give up 4,000, we got 3987. Possible targets to the upside. 4060 is the 50 MA on the 60 minute. Above that, you got that overnight high 4072.75. I think that's going to be a big level, mainly because when we saw sellers kind of hit the gas to the downside on Friday, that's where it happened. That's where they really came in. Was around that 4070, 76 ish level. Was where they really started to make the push. So I think that's going to be key.
So is there any relevance to this 4040 level? People that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter. Does that line 4040? Does that line up with anything for you?
I mean, mainly, and I'd have to go back and look at all the different levels that I have, but yeah, I mean, like I said, that area was support and resistance yesterday and overnight. But as far as what other lines come into play, it was support back in May. We kind of had that dip. I think it was, let's see, it looks like it was like the 12th. 4040 is where it bounced before continuing higher. It came down and touched it again. That's a little higher on the 19th. That was like 4058. But yeah, I'm sure there's some other things that line up. If I go draw them all out, but there's definitely
I just the only reason why I ask it is like I don't chart or follow out ES to the point that you do, but yeah, I'm seeing more and more of this 4040 being like this pivot of long short that people are looking for this week. 4040.
Well, yeah. So again, I'm sure there's other lines that will line up, and you'll go, well, there's a fib here, and there's this, and there's that. But the simple answer is that, like I said, this was the area that acted as support yesterday before we broke and fell another 15 points or whatever it was from there, and overnight this was resistance and then became support before running up to 4072. So yeah, that's what I said. Like I think that this kind of sets up the next, at least the next move that we see.
Okay.
If you look at the volume, if you look at the volume from yesterday, below, let's see, above 4048 or so, was kind of outside that value area. But yeah, I mean, just basic support and resistance from the last couple days. That's
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a bias at all coming into the day?
man, if I had to give one, I would say that we should go back up. Uh, given the selling that took place, uh, I would I would think that we'll go back up and test that 4070 ish, 4075, and the simple answer is that my lean would be up.
Okay.
For today.
Okay.
Don't know that
Very
we'll
good.
get it, but that would be the lean. I think there's some unfinished business that remains up around 4150.
Okay. All right. Well, Packington, what do you have for us?
Hello. Good morning. That was a close one. I almost had to jump in for Only Happy When It Rains, but sounded like no singing today, so just
That's a rule for every day.
That is
All
not
right.
true. You can sing whenever you want. So if you're just feeling like you want to belt it out because you are only happy when it rains today, go right ahead. Don't let us stop you.
Well, the other one I kept hearing, Hell's saying right here, right now. That one's always stuck in my head, so I'll be
Nice.
watching.
There we go.
Okay. Today's, I don't know, feeling good looking at different stuff here. I adjusted some triggers. I put them in the room. Coin, inside bar on the daily. And I'm just going to use yesterday's upper orb for a trigger to go long at 69. Coin had a little bit of dark pool last night at 66.34, and it drifted up off that. So if we're going to go down, I'd watch to see what it does there. But to go really aggressive, could maybe take coin short on a fib I had at 67.05. That's coin. So then we got AMD. Adjusted that one a little bit. Have a little dark pool here, 89.82. That kind of worked as pre-market resistance. And then pre-market support was 89.2. So we'll be just kind of watching to see what AMD does in there. I dropped a new chart in the room here. PDD was on the list because it ripped off ER yesterday and had some decent relative size for dark pool below last night. So they hit it with dark pool at 66.04 and 65.8. So I'd be interested to see if that's going to work as support. And then I had a resistance line above if we're going to go up on PDD at 67.8. Couple other notable things that we saw come in last night. 3M with one of the biggest dark pools in BlackBox history, at least as far as what I'm hearing, one of the big ones I've ever seen, came in at 127 flat, $1.2 billion last night on 3M. So I have alert set that should pop here in the room on 3M. Definitely going to be watching, see what happens with that. They had bankruptcy news on Friday and got destroyed. And they've been getting a ton of dark pools. So if you see 3M pop up here in the room, keep an eye out for it.
Low on 3M yesterday was bearish.
Yep, we saw puts. So, bankruptcy, something's going on over there. UVXY had a dark pool last night.
Mm-hmm.
Is not popping. They just added to this line that I was like, where is this? I swear I put it on my chart. But it was added to a line we already had at 1032 on UVXY. So they've hit it multiple times there. And there's now $35.3 million sitting on UVXY at 10.32. And the last one I wanted to point out, because I did take this IWM short with Hells, there is a dark pool line on IWM that came in last night at 187.24. That was 518 million. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. We did have a phantom print on IWM that was around 185 points. I forget the exact, but 185 point something, maybe 0.7. So that's all I got.
No, I'm glad you brought up the UVXY print. I was going to circle back and mention that. Definitely happy you mentioned that. Also, yesterday, Flow, at the very end of the day, there were some very curious, heavy weekly lines, I believe, into both AMD and NVIDIA. We did see buying into SOXL literally all day yesterday. And we did see some really, really nice activity again towards the end of the day. Now, that could be playing this gap up that in theory we'll still have, but it keeps on trickling down to maximize that. But watching flow on NVIDIA and AMD is going to be fairly telling moving forward. We also saw, look, I'm in Amazon short. The flow on Amazon yesterday was bearish. Still looking for that gap fill on the daily there. So that's kind of how I can frame those things alongside of what Stockington mentioned. At the same time, I want to point out that 30 minutes after open, we get some fairly important data points. We get Jolt job openings. And we get consumer confidence, and I believe inflation expectation. I think that one's in there also. But 30 minutes after open, we get some data that can deliver some volatility, something to keep in mind. That's all I got. My bias is still leaning to the downside. When I line up the environment, the narrative, the charts, and the flow. Leaning down. I don't like it. I don't want to be leaning to the downside. I would love to get a real excuse, whether it be flow or narrative or something just magical on the chart to say, hey, let's do this. Not getting it, not feeling it. It's not within the music. So until the music changes, I have to stay the course, as much as I despise playing the downside. So that's all I got. Benner, you have anything else for the people?
Nope, nothing for me.
Nothing from the Binda. Stockington, you already walking your dog?
Indeed.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We have 23 minutes until open. Let's get comfortable. Let's get our mindset to where we can achieve today.
How comfortable?
Very comfortable. Look, I'm a big fan of come as you are.
All right. Well, I might
Big
have
fan.
to warn the house, but okay. Let me see what I can
Come as you are.
All right, we'll catch you in a few.